All right. So, starting in chapter 9, God starts talking about the high priest, right? And the things that they had to do, this earthly service that they had to do. He starts going through the service in the tabernacle of uh, the temple, the tabernacle and the temple, in the holy place and in the holy of holies. So this is the holy place where the showbread and the lampstand and the table was. It's called the sanctuary. Then behind the second veil, that's the first veil is on the holy place. The second veil is between the holy place and the holy of holies, which had the golden censer in the ark of the covenant overlaid with all sides. So listen, when the Antichrist sits, when the beast go into the temple and sit, where is he going to sit? This is extremely important. It's not just some little thing. It's extremely important. He's going to sit behind the second veil, the part of the tabernacle, which is called the holiest of all. Why? Because he's defying the one true God. He's going to sit in the temple of God, showing himself. It's not showing and trying to prove anything to anyone else. Showing himself that he is God, which had the golden censer and the Ark of the Covenant overlaid on all sides. That's where he's going to sit. He's going to sit on this thing, where the golden censer is, this Ark of the Covenant that's overlaid, right? So that's what he's saying. So all these priests, they're preparing and they're doing all kinds of things, right? But in the second part, that is in the holiest of holies, only the high priest went alone one time. And get this, folks, listen. If you want to approach God, there's one thing you cannot show up without. Listen to God, but not without blood. This covenant that we have, this new birth, this new creation, comes with a payment for sin. If you show up without that payment, and it better be blood, I don't care how many tears you cry, that can't get rid of sin. I don't care how sincere you are, that cannot get rid of sin. How many prayers you pray, how many times you raised your hand and walked up to the front of the altar and somebody slapped their hand on you. There's nothing in the book, nowhere, that says that get rid of sin. What do you need? You have blood. How are you going to get that? You can't. Wait a minute. What do you mean I can't? Where are you going to get it from? You tell me. Where are you going to get the blood? You're going to call God? You're going to call on God when the Bible clearly says there's none that seek after God? There's none that do right. They have all gone out of the way, and every single one of them have turned to their own way. So how are you going to get that? Friend, it's hopeless. You can't. That's God's point. Until you come to that point to where you realize that there isn't a prayer in the world that can save you. There isn't a repentance, a confession, anything you can do that can save you. The only person that can save you is God. And if you ever come to that realization, then you have true salvation. Because every single believer, every real one, came to the same conclusion on their own. Of course not. He called you. How? He just how I told you, through the gospel, which I just preached to you, which he offered for himself. The priest had to offer an offering for himself and for the people's sins committed, listen, in ignorance. You say, whoa, 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 whoa. You mean tell me every sin that people commit is done in ignorance? Yeah, yeah. But you got to go back to the book to understand what he's talking about, done in ignorance. Why is it done in ignorance? That's what you have to. Why? Ask yourself that question. Does the Bible answer it? Of course it does. This is why it was done in ignorance, right here. And I'm just going to point you to it so that you can see. It was done in ignorance because of this right here. Look at what he says. Put the whole book together, right? Ephesians 4. This I say, therefore, and testify in the Lord that you should no longer walk as the rest of the Gentiles walk. How did you and I walk before Christ saved us? Here it is. Look for the word ignorance. In the futility, the decay, constant decay of your mind. Now, how in the world can a person like that call on Jesus when their mind is constantly in a state of decay? Having their what? Understanding of everything concerning God. What about it? Everything they think they know about God. God says it's dark. There's no light whatsoever in anything they think concerning me. Now, being, and this is a constant state, a constant reality, every second, every millisecond of every day, alienated from what? Life. So if you don't have life and you're alienated from life, what are you? You're dead. So God just said, your mind is full of corruption and futility, decay. You have a darkened view of God, a constant dark view. You are constantly, at no time do you ever stop being alienated from life. God says you are dead. Why? Why is that the case about me and you? Do you know why? Because God said, because of the what? Ignorance. That is where. Where is this ignorance? It is inside of you. Why? Because you're blind. And it's your heart that's blind. Why is your heart blind? Because it is dead. So now do you understand what God meant when he said ignorant? You see, you don't have to guess at this, friends. God gives the answer. Even if he don't give it in the same place, that is the same book by the same person, he does give you the answer. who being, here's that constant state of something again, past feelings, they're totally calloused. You can take where they brand a cow, right? They put that hot iron cow. They say you can take a 7-inch needle and stick it through that, and that cow won't feel a thing. Why? Because he's been branded. God is saying that's us. All of us. Our whole selves, spirit, soul, and body, is beyond having any kind of feelings toward God. Why? That causes us to give ourselves over to all kind of unclean, wicked behaviors. That wicked behavior can be religion. To work, now it starts showing up. Notice when the behavior starts showing up. At the very end. It's the last thing that happens. By the time you get to the point to where you're doing it, all this other stuff has already taken place. So have you sinned before the act? Yes. How much sin did you and I commit before we finally did some work, before we finally did acts of disobedience? How much sin did we commit? You committed sin of decay in your mind. You committed sin because you had the wrong understanding of God. You committed sin because you were in this constant state of death, because you were ignorant, because you were blind. And you're going to have to pay for all of that if you don't have the blood of Christ taking your payment for you. Then you're going to pay for that act. But you got to pay for all of this first. Even if you don't act. You see, that's the problem. People are so focused on this stupid mess right here. When all of this other stuff takes place before that even happened. And some people don't even let it get to that point. They entertain it in their minds. And they think about the consequences, and that's the only reason they don't do it. How many people would be pedophiles if they weren't afraid of going to jail or being ashamed that they messed with a kid? How many people would rape men or women? How many people go have sex with animals if they weren't afraid of being caught and embarrassed? They don't do the act. But if there was no consequences, they would be out there with a sheep. And they do it with all their heart, with all their might, with all their strength. That's their God.